Hey everybody, Ralph Havens here, and welcome. Hope you're having a great week. It's a beautiful week up here in Bellingham, Washington. I'm actually getting to do an interview with somebody that's running for Congress that we really like a lot. It's going to be tonight at 8, but I think, I don't know when she'll post it or if she'll post it, but I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be super cool. You know, I was thinking this morning, or what came to me while I was doing my matrix energetics, my peace process, letting go process, the surrendering process, the um, the stuff that I do, the qigong, the stuff that I do to help me heal and to get the life that we want to live and do good in the world and um and have a lot of fun. What came to me was something that showed up a bit yesterday. And because somebody was asking me, what do I think of a certain process? There's something that one of my coaches, Christian Michelson, has. He's actually doing a webinar today on it called Instant Miracle. And he also has something called the Peace Process, which is actually has deep roots in very ancient meditations. David Hawkins called it the letting go process. Raphael Kushner called it living the questions. I think Tom Stone had a version of it. It's in the introduction of Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. It's all over the place. Deepak has it in a paragraph in one of his books. And my Qigong master talked about it. And I missed it for 17 years. And finally realized, oh my God, he's been telling me the secret of life for so long. And I had missed it. And then I was thinking about it because I had the question posed to me yesterday, like, um, what do you think? Like this matrix energetics, is it an energy thing? And here's the thing. I posted a success story I had because I had to reach out from somebody in our coaching group that wanted some healing around money blocks. And he was very vague and kind of, I couldn't quite get a handle on, like, the email was like some sort of block to energy. And I'm like, what's the result you want, man? I don't understand what do you want if you solve this block to energy? And so then we met and it made a lot of sense. Like, oh, I see what he's up to. So we did a session, and then he a week or two later, he gave me an email. He gave me a video, and it's in the description below. It's only about a minute long, and it was like super cool, super cool. What changed for this guy, and it had to do with money. It had to do with money. So well worth watching. And years ago, we had just moved to town. It was 2013. We were in a rental. We didn't know what we were going to do. I had an office in Bellingham, which I still do, but I had a different office. And I was about to go to work on a client. Cool client, very cool client. She had actually followed me all the way up here and moved her family to Bellingham so that she could have in-person sessions, even though we could do distance sessions. But anyway, I was about to go to work, and a practitioner, an acupuncturist that we know, that we had met in town, was there and said, what are you doing? Why are you taking this guy? And I like to take Yoda everywhere I go. Don't always take him, but, and I said, well, I can show you. And I said, and you can test stuff for yourself too, before and after my videos. This is all included, and I'm being a little elusive, but there's some magic that happens in these videos, and you might notice it. And let me know if you do. And so anyway, I had her test her neck and how she moved and how she felt. And then I did a technique and on Yoda. It took all of about 3 seconds. And then I said, okay, go ahead and test it again. And she was like, what? And I said, yeah, test your neck motion again. And she moved it and it was looser. And she says, well, that's weird. It's probably because I already moved it. So it's just looser because I had already loosened it up. And I'm like, okay. And, she wasn't paying me money. She wasn't getting an official session. I knew something had changed, but it's like, okay, if she didn't know it. And I went to work. And a week later, I think it was about a week, it's been a while now. This was back in 2013. She told Jen that unexpectedly her grandmother had given her a bunch of money. She had just written off all this debt, all these loans that the grandmother had given her, and had just wiped it clean. Like, don't worry, I don't even want you to pay it back. And it was a lot of money. And she was just floored. She goes, wow, nobody has ever done that in my life before. Nobody's ever just given me anything really. And Jen and I knew, we talked about it later, we're like, yeah, she interacted with matrix energetics. And, but we knew we couldn't tell her that, you know, it's like, how would somebody's like, oh yeah, you're taking credit for that, Ralph? It's like, no, but the field has got our back with matrix energetics. How much grace does God need? How much grace does God need for infinite abundance to pop into your life? And like Christy Michelson has a technique called instant miracle. And I've literally seen miracles with that stuff. I use it and I've seen miracles with that stuff. And yet I had somebody talking to me yesterday and she was like, oh, that technique, it's so simple. It's like some basic Reiki person. And I'm like, yeah, it sure looks like that to me too. But it's changed my life. It's changed my life. And so how come with Matrix Energetics, I used to do a study group. Jen and I and my friend Jeffrey was there doing it with us, and years and years we would do Matrix. And we've taken many, I think I've taken over 35 classes in Matrix Energetics. And people would come to the study group on Friday nights. It was a great time. We loved it. And great way to end the week. And many times they would come in and like, yeah, I took Matrix. I read the book, you know, this was the book, the only book at the time. And then later, this book came out and I read it and I understood it. But yeah, it doesn't seem to do much. You know, I took the class. It's like, I feel a little looser, a little lighter, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, they don't even realize all the miracles that just happened in their life. And the reason I know it, because I used to do it. People would come to me physically, and for 8 hours a day, I saw clients. And every hour there was a new client. And for 2 years, all I did was Matrix Energetics. And so, and my wife would come in and say, you guys are so lucky, because we had 4 or 5 therapists working with us at the time, and pretty much everybody except for a couple of them. I'm thinking about it. There was like 1, 2, 3. There was 3 other ones besides me and Jen. So 5 of us that had done Matrix Energetics. And all day long, we were using this Matrix Energetics and seeing miracles beyond what we had seen with all of our other stuff. It's why I did it only Matrix for 2 years. And I had to see where else it would go. And then I came around to everything else. And then I ran into Christian Michelson and the instant miracle technique and peace process. And then I went deep into that to all of his teachers and throughout history, the teachers of that. And I'm like, oh, super cool. And so when people interact with us, stuff changes, but will you know it? And will you attribute it to this interaction? And one of the things that I try to do is to help people understand and notice the miracles, because when they interact with me, with this work, with this field, with this energy, with this space, with this information, whatever you want to call it, God, stuff is different. And there's like a line in the sand, and here's life, and then here's life now. And will you notice it if it's different? And I think there's something really valuable about noticing what you notice. Like Richard Bartlett says, notice what you notice. One of the most profound statements ever. And notice what's different and count the miracles. And so why do so many people not get it? And I think it's because they're trying to understand it with their heads. You know, when me and Jeffrey and Jen took Matrix Energetics and took it over and over and over again, many times, we heard the same stories. We heard the same, here's how you do it. We practiced the same ways with the people from all over the country and Canada. And why did we do that? We weren't trying to learn something new. So, you know, Yogananda, the one book that Steve Jobs had on his iPad, from what I understand, the only book he had on his iPad, and the book that he had everybody that went to his memorial service get, was Autobiography of a Yogi. And if you haven't read it, it's pretty amazing. And some of the stuff in there seems unbelievable, but I believe him. And if you read about, in the last part, it talks about his last day on earth, the day he died. And the guy knew exactly when he was going to die. He actually told his disciples right before it happened. And he was healthy, and then he was not here. And so the guy was enlightened. And there was a guy, James Jesse Lyons, a businessman who was worth a lot of money. And he surprised Yogananda when Yogananda came back to California after touring the world, the country, promoting yoga and the yoga way of living and self-realization, you know, knowing God. And he came back, and James Jesse Lyons had given him this giant, sprawling, multiple, just giant place with lots of with buildings and everything on the coast just north of San Diego in Encinitas. It's still there, Self-Realization Temple. And it's giant, it's beautiful. And that's where Yogananda spent his last years writing this book and a lot of other stuff. And he quit eating more and more, and he kept going deep into meditation, so much that his disciples thought he died. He was like sitting there without breathing, and he looked dead. And Yogananda would then come back and say, okay, here's the deal. I'm just over there with Divine Mother, is what he called it, Spirit. And if you just whisper Om in my ear, I'll come back. And so, you know, they were doing this, and James Jesse Lyons was there. And why did they hang around Yogananda? I don't think it was to learn the words that were in books. I don't think it was that. It was to be with him. Just like Yogananda, for years, as he talks about in this book, he traveled the world to be with other people that were in that space, in that state. Lahiri Messiah, I butcher this guy's name all the time, Yuka Zawarji, Ananda Miyama, Babaji, you know, the Babaji people in the Himalayas. And why did he do that? And why couldn't he just do it from Encinitas? Why did he have to go actually see them physically? There's something about being in the space. Now we have Zoom, and we can do stuff like that and be with people like that. And there's benefits that way, and there's benefits actually in person too. But why did he do that? Was to be with that energy, that space, that information, whatever you want to call it. Any name just is an attempt to limit it. But and so why do people not get matrix energetics? Because they're trying to do it with their mind. It's too simple. It's like, it can't be that simple. It's like peace process. It can't be that simple. Like, I've got much more advanced techniques than that. That's how I used to think when I first saw some of this stuff. I thought, I've spent $750,000 on my hands. By that I mean on my training, which I have. And so when I interacted with some of this stuff that was coming through people that were not official healers, didn't have the training I had, were doing what seemed like really simple techniques. It wasn't about the technique. It was about being in the space with somebody that was connected to that infinite source. And that's, I think, why so many people can't get matrix energetics. They actually are getting it. They just don't realize it. And they're not attributing it to what is going on. And so you know, if you can, when I worked with Vitaly, he came to me, and you can look at his success story down below. When he came to me, he had this cryptic kind of message like, yeah, energy's not flowing. I just don't understand. Da, 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 da. And then I understood it as I talked to him, and then we dropped into this space. And what is it? How does it work? I don't know. You know, I don't even know how a cell phone works. Like, how can this work where I'm talking to people, some of them watching live, some of them watching later, and they're seeing my image and they're hearing my words, and it's going through the air? I don't know how that works. I mean, I guess somebody, some scientist, some engineer knows how it works on some levels, but information traveling on light? I don't know how that works. The thing is, though, I know which buttons to push to use Zoom and to use a cell phone and to use wireless devices. And there's somebody that knows how to like go into a website and change the code so that when somebody goes to that URL, that website, it's a different website. And playing with that is what we're up to. And so when entrepreneurs come to me and they have anxiety and fears and all sorts of stuff, there's a lot of ways to just totally crush that. And the thing about entrepreneurs is they are really motivated because they're actually putting it on the line. And by that, I mean, they are putting their work, their soul's work out on the line for the world to see it and for the haters to come in, like some people do to Christian Michelson and go, oh, that's too simple. Who is he to do that? And, or Richard Bartlett, he's just a crazy man, you know? and he is. but but so when the entrepreneurs put their work out there, there's the thing that happens is a lot of people come out of the woodwork to poo-poo it because they don't want people to succeed because their life sucks and they don't want anyone else's life to be good. And it's like a really strange situation. But so the cool thing, the reason I love hanging around with entrepreneurs is they've got stuff on the line. They've got some skin in the game. The stuff that they're doing matters. And they're doing it even with a lot of stress, and even maybe family doesn't understand them, and maybe they haven't even had success with it, but they know they've got something. And there's a way to use the infinite source, whatever you want to call that, to clear, dismantle, completely crush the inner stuff that's in the way of somebody's happiness and healing and abundance. And it's not from learning stuff. It's not from learning stuff. And so if you go through my videos, you may feel something. And if you test something before and after, you might notice that something's different. And you might just want to suspend a little disbelief and just go, wow, I wonder what else is different. And just look around. And then go watch Vitaly's video. And if it makes sense to you in some weird way that doesn't make sense to your mind, but you just know truth, reach out to me, PM me, email me, get on my list. ralphhavens.com/crush imposter syndrome has a full training on what I find is the #1 way to clear that anxiety and fear and what the entrepreneurs call imposter syndrome. So, so see what you notice what you notice, send me a message, and let's heal ourselves and heal the world.